All right, welcome back to our AI Skills by Role series. Today, we're zeroing in on a really important one, the AI skills that every single HR business partner is going to need by 2026. And look, this isn't about learning to code or becoming a data scientist. It's about something way more human. It's all about judgment. So, let's start with the big question, right? The one that's hanging over pretty much every job out there. Human or AI? Who gets to make the final call? Is it a person or is it the algorithm? And here's the thing. For anyone in HR, especially HR business partners, this isn't some, futuristic sci-fi problem we can worry about later. It's a choice you have to make today. Why? Because the decisions you make, who to hire, how to develop people, how to manage big changes, these have massive human consequences. And if AI gets it wrong, the fallout is real. Which brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. It's not about trying to make a skilled HR professional equal to an AI. That's missing the point entirely. The real goal is this: human is greater than AI. A top-tier HR BP doesn't just hand off a decision to a machine. No way. They use AI as a tool to make smarter, faster, better-informed decisions. But the accountability, the empathy, all the really important stuff, that stays right where it belongs, with the human. Okay, Section 1, HR's AI moment. So let's dig into why this is all happening so fast, specifically in the world of HR. Because make no mistake, this is your moment. And the stakes? They couldn't be higher.
What's kind of wild is that AI isn't just nibbling at the edges of HR. It's fundamentally transforming three huge core workflows all at the same time. We're talking talent acquisition, learning and development, and workforce planning. So from drafting job descriptions and screening candidates, all the way to creating custom learning plans for thousands of people, and even running simulations of what your workforce needs to look like in 5 years, it's all changing. The speed of this is it's something we've never seen before.
So this really puts every HR BP at a crossroads, There are two paths forward. Path one, you can kind of sit back and watch as all the admin and coordination tasks you do get slowly absorbed by these new AI tools. Or there's path two. You step up. You become the ethical architect of AI in your company. You're the one who designs how the organization uses these powerful tools to make decisions about its people. And let's be clear, that is not a smaller job. It might just be the most important, most impactful version of the HR role there has ever been. All right, Section 2, the 7 essential skills. So how do you actually become that architect? It's not as complex as you might think. It really boils down to 7 specific skills. And get this, none of them are about coding. Skill number 1, AI-assisted job descriptions and skills mapping. Okay, so an AI can spit out a pretty decent job description in, a few minutes? The risk, though, is that if you just copy and paste, you could be setting yourself up for disaster. It might be packed with old-school requirements or biased language that accidentally screens out entire groups of people. That's a huge legal risk. So your value? It's not about writing that first draft anymore. It's about being the expert who interrogates the AI's output, who cleans it up and makes absolutely sure it's fair, it's compliant, and it's inclusive. Okay, skill number 2, ethical AI screening design. The risk here is massive. You could implement a super efficient screening tool that seems great, but underneath, it's creating a totally unfair process, and that can do serious damage to your company's reputation. So your job is to design a system that's both fast and fair. What does that mean? It means building in checkpoints for a human to review things. It means auditing the results to check for bias. And it means you can always explain how and why a decision was made. That's the kind of oversight that only a person can bring to the table. Moving on to skill number 3, AI-driven learning pathway design. Look, an AI can absolutely generate a personalized development plan for an employee. No problem. But what it can't see is the context. It doesn't know why that performance gap exists in the first place. Is it a motivation issue? Is it about team dynamics? You're the one who knows that stuff. You provide that critical human context that turns a generic computer-generated plan into something that actually works for a real person. All right, let's talk about workforce planning. An AI model can be amazing at this. It can crunch the numbers and tell you, hey, you're on track to have a 30% skills gap in 18 months. That's a really powerful piece of analysis. But it's just analysis. It's not a solution. Your skill is taking that number, that raw output, and turning it into a real, strategic plan that leadership can actually get behind and execute. You're the one who adds the so what to the data.
Now, this next one is absolutely critical. AI output interrogation for people decisions. Think about it. If an AI messes up an invoice, okay, that's an operational headache. But if an AI makes a mistake in a promotion recommendation, the consequences are huge. They're human, they're legal, they're cultural. So this skill is all about applying a much, much higher standard of scrutiny. You become the human quality control layer. You have to double-check, triple-check, and cross-reference the AI's output with what you know to be true before it ever affects a single person's career.
And what about your company's actual policies on AI? Sure, an AI can draft one for you in like 10 seconds. Easy. But your job, your skill, is to take that computer-generated draft and make it human. You're the one who makes sure it's not just legally sound, but that it actually reflects your company's values. And just as important, you make sure it's written in plain English that real employees can understand and, most importantly, trust. You're not just editing a Word doc, you're building a cornerstone of trust for your entire organization. And finally, skill number 7. This is the one that really elevates you from being a participant to being a true strategic leader. When AI starts changing how work gets done, people get scared. There's a lot of fear and uncertainty. Your role is to be the one who names that, who addresses the human side of all this change. You design programs to support people through the transition, and you hold the entire organization accountable for doing it respectfully. A piece of software can't do that. Only you can.
Okay, section 3, the core principle, judgment. So we've just walked through 7 different skills. When you step back and look at all of them, what's the one thing that ties them all together?
Well, you can actually group these skills into 2 main buckets. On one side, you have skills for using AI, actually doing the work, like drafting job descriptions or learning plans. On the other side, you have skills for governing AI, setting the rules, like with ethical screening. And you'll notice a couple of skills, like interrogating outputs and drafting policy. They kind of live in both worlds, but all of them, every single one, depends on one core, irreplaceable human capability.
And that capability is judgment, plain and simple. It's the skill to look at what an AI gives you and know, yep, this is good enough to act on, versus knowing when to say, hold on, this needs a human touch. This needs someone who actually understands the person behind all these data points. This is the absolute heart of the HR role. AI doesn't get rid of it. In fact, it makes good old-fashioned human judgment more valuable than it has ever been.
So, section 4, your first steps forward. Okay, this is all great in theory, but let's get practical. How can you actually start building these skills, like right now? The best way to think about it is like a 3-step ladder. You're going to want to start on the bottom rung. This is where you practice the everyday skills, like reviewing AI-generated JDs, and just generally questioning any AI output that has to do with people. This is how you build the muscle, the instinct. Once you've got that down, you move up to step 2, building. This is where you get into things like learning pathway design and AI policy. And then finally, you'll be ready for the top rung, leading. This is the high-stakes stuff, like designing ethical screening from the ground up and leading the entire workforce transformation.
Because at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one simple truth. It doesn't matter how powerful the tech gets. No AI tool is ever going to make the final call on someone's career. No predictive model is going to carry the accountability if things go wrong, and no system, no matter how smart, can ever hold the trust of your people. That is and always will be the essential human work of HR.